that be?
Well, Geico is the second largest car insurer in the country and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
Your home for March Madness, Sports Radio 810 WHB presents special coverage Sunday as we kick off Championship Week. Sunday beginning at 1, we'll bring you live coverage from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis as the Missouri Valley champ is crowned and punches their ticket for March Madness. Tune in to hear the Missouri Valley Championship Sunday at 1 on your home for college basketball, including Championship Week, Selection Sunday, March Madness, and the Final Four. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcast Network. I'm Scott Traylor along with Kirk Elliott. We're live from the Racing Boys Studios here in lovely Kansas City, Missouri. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. We've got a loaded up show full of sound today, folks. We are going to play a lot of sound, and we're going to talk about the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. John O'Neill Jr. is going to be joining us here tonight, today, I should say. He's going to be inducted into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame tonight. Kirk Elliott is going to be the MC. TJ Giddings is also going to join us at some point during the show today. We're going to have sound from J.J. Hickle, Danette King-Anstein, and Derek Hagar, Brett Johnson from Grays Harbor. And we might get a little Randy LaJoy and Steve Post in there as well. Kirk Elliott, how you doing, my friend? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. Saw some good racing last night.
Yeah. I think the best race of the night had to be the World of Outlaws race. Sheldon Haudenschild picked up the win at Cotton Bowl. What did you think about that race?
It was a great race. I thought Sheldon made a really good move to get underneath Corey Eliason right there.
Right.
At one time, he picked his spot perfectly there because it wasn't going to be really easy to get
there
into
was
the lead, but lap traffic really caused
played a big play.
Corey Eliason in that instance right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he took advantage.
At one time, Sheldon, Corey Eliason, Brad Sweet, the three of those guys were battling it out, and they were running for second, third, and fourth at that time. And, man, what a race. Austin, did you watch that race last night?
I watched the last couple laps of it. I missed the first
It was
part.
getting pretty intense there at the end of that race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I heard the Dirt Vision on in the living room, and it was pretty wild for last night.
And Sheldon ended up lapping up to 14th. He lapped Aaron Reitzel on the final lap.
Sheldon's good about, lapping people. He went to Peevely a couple of years ago and lapped up to like 5th.
Right.
And anytime you catch Sheldon on a good night, he's a monster. You can't stop him.
You get him up on the high side of the racetrack,
right.
And if that yellow flag hadn't come out, he was fixing to take the lead at that point.
Right, he was.
And then on that restart, he had to do it all over again. So it was going to be a lot easier for him had that yellow flag not come out right
Sheldon was the first one to get up there and rip the lip.
Yeah.
He was the first one to do it, man. He was making it work for him. Who was leading that race early?
Corey Eliason.
Eliason.
Yeah. Well, actually, McFadden led the first, I think, 10 or so laps, and he cut a right rear down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a tire go down. So he had a fast race car.
Yeah, I felt for him when I saw that right rear. When that thing laid over on that right rear, it was kind of early for that tire to give up, wasn't it, Austin? Didn't you think it was a little early for that?
Yeah, it's on the video we got playing right now. So lap with 22 to go. So 8 laps into the race, he had a right rear go down. So
he must have cut it.
He had to run something over, unless they already had an issue with it when they went out.
Yeah. We're looking at video. If you're watching online with us, again, you can watch our show live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. We air it live video. So if you want to watch it over there, you can always do so. But, yeah, I was feeling for him when I saw that right rear. The track was kind of slick, but there was no way he burned that tire off that early.
No, he had to run something over. Cotton Bowl's usually pretty slick with it being down there in southern Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It actually kind of put on good racing.
Yeah. What'd you think? Is Selsey running that Toyota motor? Do we know if he's running that or not?
I believe he's kind of like Aaron Wright's where they're doing testing with it. So I don't know if it's full-time with it or if it's just select races.
Because he ran 6th last night.
Right.
So and he was right up there in the middle of it. So if that Toyota motor's coming around.
Well, I believe that like last week we watched the king of the 410s out there was it Colorado Speedway, and Kerry Madsen ran 2nd, and I believe he was in a Toyota too. So
yeah.
I think the Toyotas might be full-time this year.
Yeah.
Well, he was putting the heat on right there towards the end of the race.
He was.
I mean, he was giving Sweet all he wanted right there towards the end. So
well, no, he wasn't on Sweet because Logan Schuchart and Donnie Schatz were in front of him.
Yeah.
So he was putting a little heat on Donnie Schatz there towards the middle of that race.
That's who I'm thinking about, Schatz. So
also last night, Kirk, how about old Sammy Swindell? Ended up running 2nd down at Kokopall Speedway. I didn't even know they were racing down there last night, to be honest with you. They didn't have a live stream, so I didn't get to watch it. But Sammy Swindell runs 2nd to Colton Hardy down there at the ASCS Southwest region at Kokopall Speedway.
Yep, that's that Kokopall Speedway. You've been down there a number of times. I've been down
many
there
one
time.
Yep.
That place has been a busy place this winter. Seems like they've had a lot of big events down here the last several weeks.
Only 17 cars down there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Kobe Thornton finished in 3rd in that A-main last night.
Right. And then we want to kind of give a little credit to Steven Shebester. He ended up winning the OCRS race.
Season opener.
Yeah.
First of 2 nights down at the Red Dirt Raceway in Meeker, Oklahoma. And, those guys, the Oil Capital Racing Series, we carried a lot of their races last year. They're very competitive.
You know what? To be honest with you, those we got pretty good numbers from those races, didn't we, Kirk, back in the day?
Pretty decent.
Decent
because
numbers.
it's good racing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, big win
for Capital Racing Series is what we're talking about when we talk OCRS. It's kind of an Oklahoma-based outfit, but they do a really good job with that series.
Yep, Steven Shebester coming up with the big victory, and again, they'll do it again tonight down at Red Dirt Raceway. It was Tanner Cone who finished in 2nd. Whit Gastineau finished in 3rd place.
Right.
Last night.
And then finally last night, Kirk, we saw Dustin Sorensen pick up the win with the USMTS. What'd you think of that race?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it.
For some reason on RacingDirt.com, it popped up a message up there that said somebody else has logged into your account. Well, we couldn't figure out who that was.
It wasn't me because I had to buy my own subscription last night to watch the race.
So I don't know.
I don't know who it was watching.
Somebody was watching.
Somebody hacked your account, Kirk.
Somebody hacked into my account.
Who have you given your account out to?
Nobody except you guys.
Well, it wasn't me in Austin, and it wasn't Todd. You know, damn good. Well, Todd wasn't watching it last night.
Well, get with Stick Boy and see if he can fix it.
Oh, Stick, yeah. But anyway, Dustin Sorensen picked up the victory last night, beating Justin Hughes and Rodney Sanders to the line. So,
Rick Beebe down there last night. He ran. I thought he had a pretty good showing down there. Those B features were loaded.
Well, how about Dustin Sorensen? Did he win the B? Come out of the B?
Came out of the B and then won the A.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
According to the results,
from what I'm reading, that's the way it reads. But Rick Beebe. Doing a really good job in the 22B car last night. Old dude, and he's my age, and he's still getting up there and doing a damn good job with it. Driving the Terry Phillips racing car, he's getting a little support from Terry Phillips. So,
boy, a bunch of race cars down there last night.
70-some cars at that USMTS race. How about that?
And that's a racetrack that's in new hands right now. It used to be called the 82 Speedway. It's now called Rocket Raceway.
I don't like the name.
Rocket Raceway Park.
I don't like it.
Petty, Texas.
Come on. You come up with something better than Rocket Speedway, can't you? You like that name, Kurt?
I'm okay with it.
You are?
I don't have any problem. I think it's better than 82 Speedway, to me.
Well,
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't know. Austin, do you like Rocket Speedway? Do you like that name for a racetrack, Rocket?
Only if it's named after Jesse Hockett, but no.
No, I don't like it either. See, there's 2 against 1 there, Kurt.
That's the big thing. When you hear Rocket, the first thing you think of is Jesse Hockett.
Yeah. Well, in some people's eyes,
Yeah.
it's Jesse Hockett. But there's been a few Rockets along the way, but none better than Jesse Hockett, the Rocket Hockett.
They had the non-wing short track nationals at I-30 Speedway last night.
Right.
First of 2 nights of racing down there. Justin Zimmerman coming through with the feature victory over Shane Cockrum, and Landon Crawley finishing in 3rd place last night. I don't know who carried that live. I
don't think anybody did.
I didn't see it.
I don't think anybody carried it live. What is the world coming to when we can't get a live stream to a race?
It's amazing when
what is the world coming to, Kurt?
When any kind of an event is not carried live video, it's big news. But Zimmerman grabbed the lead on lap 4 of the 20-lap feature event. Landon Crawley led early in the race.
Where did Derek Hagar end up, Kurt? Can you tell me that?
I don't see him among the top finishers here. I don't know if they split up the field and are running a different. I don't know. I don't see him listed here.
Well, Kirk, he was there because we had him on the show this week.
He said he was going to be there, right?
Yeah. So you don't see him anywhere in the finishing order?
I do not. Right now.
Well, that's interesting.
He was a DNS in the B main.
Oh, he was. In the D main.
B.
How many cars were there?
Means did not
31.
start.
31 cars. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
For a non-wing show. Pays $5,000 to win tonight, so they might grab a couple more cars tonight.
They only raced for 20 laps last night.
Well, they should only race for 20 laps. It was only $1,000 to win last night.
Yeah, you got a point.
Right?
Here's what happened to Derek Hager.
I mean, you can't pay $1,000 one night and $5,000 the second night. It's got to be at least $2,000 to win on the first night, doesn't it?
Has to be. Yeah, I forgot you said that this week on our show.
Yeah.
Derek Hager took a tumble in his heat race. It says took a tumble in the heat race. So I don't know how big of a flip that was or whatever, but not able to get the car repaired for the B main last night. So that's what happened to Derek Hager.
Kirk, truck race was on last night. Did you watch it?
Yeah, that was some pretty good action right there. Kyle Busch Motorsports making a big play last night. I thought maybe in that last restart, Kyle Busch, the guy, was going to find a way to get out front, but it was his driver, Chandler Smith, that ended up the winner of the truck race last night.
That's why
19-year-old Chandler Smith.
Well, Chandler Smith beat his car owner, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only time that when Kyle Busch is not upset running second.
Yeah, he wasn't too upset about his truck.
He had a smile on his face a little bit. Yeah, he wasn't.
As you'd expect.
Yeah, 1-2. That's
but
not
if that
too
had
bad.
been anybody else, if it had been the other Smith, Zane Smith, that had won, he wouldn't have had such a big smile on his face.
You don't think?
Probably not. But the second place finisher, Zane Smith, was disqualified after the race last night.
So what was the reason for the disqualification?
Something had to do with the lug nuts not being. I don't know. It was vague, the reasoning that NASCAR gave. It just said, per the rule book, he was disqualified for not adhering to the lug nut policy or something. I have no idea what it is.
Wow, how about that?
Maybe Lee Smith will know when we get her on the top of the second
Lee
hour.
Smith.
I mean Lee Spencer.
You said Lee Smith.
I stand corrected. When we get Lee Spencer on at the top of the second hour, exclusively on Racing Boys, we'll maybe she might know the answer to all that.
Yeah, well, we'll have her on here in hour number 2. And again, we're going to play some sound here up until that point. John O'Neill Jr. is going to join us in hour 1, though, right?
Live. Going into the Hall of Fame tonight. We're going to honor both John Jr. and John Sr.
Should we play one right now, you think? I think so. All right. How about, did we decide J.J. Hickle was the first, right? All right, let's do that one first. We had a chance to talk with the guy that runs second in the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour Points this week on Mostly Motorsports. Again, you can listen to Mostly Motorsports Monday through Friday. It starts at 12 noon Central Time, and we've had a lot of guests on there, folks. And J.J. Hickle was one of them. Again, finishing second in the National Tour Points last year to Blake Hahn. This is the conversation that we had with him this week on Mostly Motorsports.
Yeah, we started out on just to embark on the ASCS National Tour, and we had a really good year, but that was, the Wardens, their goal was to kind of just take me out on the road and get me some notoriety because they were going to be done at the end of the year. And so, yeah, coming into the end of the year, it was I didn't really have anything lined up at all. And it was, it wasn't really looking bleak, but I was just so focused on what we were doing, trying to chase that championship that, come September, November, it was starting to look like we needed to have something to do next year. But then luckily, Brandon Eichenberry shot me a text and was just starting to build a really nice team there out of Knoxville area. And, it's all 410 stuff, which is exactly the way I want to go. And I'm just really grateful that Brandon, him and Justin were willing to take a chance with me. I'm really, really excited and grateful for the opportunity to go run some 410 stuff in the Midwest this season.
Brandon, he's a Kansas City guy, right?
He is, yep. Brandon, and then the main sponsor, Justin Giddings, they're both out of Kansas City down there, and they're big-time Chiefs fans, and I know they're right there, right in Kansas City area, so I'm excited to get over to the Midwest.
So is that exciting for you to go from traveling all around the country all the time like we did last year? Because, man, you guys, listen, if there was anybody that was more of a road warrior than you guys last year, I don't know who it was, right? You guys traveled around with an extra trailer full of parts. You lived in that motor home. You had the toter home. You guys never went home last year, right?
Yep. Like my team, they had a motor home that towed a trailer, and then I had a semi truck that towed the race trailer, and I just basically lived in a semi truck for about 7 or 8 months there. And so, yeah, like you're saying, to get to a place where we kind of have a home base and all the good races are, within 4 or 5 hours or even closer, really, I'm really excited about that because I absolutely love racing. I love what I was doing last year, but man, it is a grind to be in a semi truck alone all week long and just traveling up and down the road chasing it. It'll wear on a guy and it gets tough, but so I'm definitely excited. I'm going to go get an apartment in the Des Moines area and just kind of cruise out there with my street car with a couple of seats strapped to it and all my race gear I can bring and figure the rest out when I get there.
I don't think people understand what it takes, the commitment it takes to be a full-time touring series driver. I was out there for 13 years. I was out on the road for approximately 180 days a year for the last 13 years. I'm pumping the brakes on my traveling career as well as you are. But you've got to be really pumped up about the possibility of competing for a 410 championship at Knoxville Raceway. Man, so many people want to try to do that, and they just don't have the budget to do it. Now you have this unique opportunity to be able to go in there and try to run for a championship with the 410s. That's got to get you a little pumped up.
Oh, man, I couldn't be more excited, and I've always been one of those guys that just dreams about maybe getting to go to Knoxville for a couple of nights here and there. And then over the last couple of years, I've been fortunate enough to have the Wardens take me to the 360 Nationals the last 2 seasons. And, we've gotten to race there a little more. But, yeah, to have an opportunity to race 410s at Knoxville, just being a small-town kid that never really came for much money is like, man, what a dream come true. And just, like I said, I just can't thank Brandon and Justin enough because, I'm kind of not a huge name in the sprint car world, and to go 410 racing this year is just a really good opportunity, and I mean, yeah, I'm definitely fired up. It'll be the best version of me that there can be when I get there, that's for sure.
How much 410 experience do you have there, JJ?
Not much. I mean, in 2008, I drove for a guy, and we ran probably like 6 or 7 410 shows maybe, and then that deal kind of fell through. And then last year, after the ASCS tour ended, we went back home to California and we caught 2 King of the West shows in the 63 car. And, the first night we were a little behind the 8 ball, just, kind of getting caught up to it. And we ended up in the B main and won the B main and made the feature. And then the second night, we ended up qualified second quick with all the studs in California. I think we ended up finishing, 6th in the feature, but man, if I remember right, I think Rico was 7th and Tyler Courtney was 8th. So it's like I felt like, we definitely belong with those guys. It's just a matter of just kind of getting comfortable. It was a little bit of a shock getting in the thing the first time after 10 or 12 years. But to answer your question, not a ton of laps in a 410, but I really do feel like at 31 years old, I'm pretty much ready to take the next step.
There he is, J.J. Hickle. What a good guy he is.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man.
I mean, he's really coming on strong. He's still a relatively young guy, so there's a lot he's going to be able to accomplish.
For him to do what he did in a rookie year, run second with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, he won 5 races, so he had a pretty decent season.
That's championship caliber.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you can win a handful of races with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, you've got a chance to win the championship. But Blake Hahn just did a little bit better towards the end of the season and was able to pull out the championship.
Well, it'll be kind of fun watching how he does up at Knoxville, and he's a very talented race car driver and a hard worker too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, well, when we come back, we're going to have some more sound that we're going to play. You're listening to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And again, don't forget. Mostly Motorsports, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time, daily on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and RacingBoys.com. We pull it down right after the race, so if you want to go back and listen to the replays, and they're lengthy interviews, these interviews that you're listening to, this is just a portion of those interviews, right?
Right. And we also got some video of Derek Hagar's flip last night, so we're going to if those of you watching online see that.
That was pretty nasty. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play some more sound. We've got some Steve King's sister, Danette, is going to be on with us. Derek Hagar and Brett Johnson from Grays Harbor will join us here next on Track Talk.
Track Talk. As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Hey, it's Lebo here from my friends at CertaPro Painters. It may be chilly outside, but it's still a great time to update your home's interior. Many of us have spent a little more time at home these days. You may be sick and tired of staring at the same walls. CertaPro Painters can help you transform those walls with fresh new color. CertaPro has done an awesome job for me, both inside and outside of my home, and they can do the same for you. Worry-free from start to finish every time. You can schedule a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. One of the things I love about them is each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They paint with the care and attention to detail that only a local neighborhood business can offer. Whether you need to get something done for your home or business, log on to CertaPro.com and get started today. You can get a free estimate and check out all the great services CertaPro offers. Imagine what a colorful new coat of paint can do. They're ready to help transform your space and bring your vision of color to life. That's CertaPro.com for CertaPro Painters.
So spring is just around the corner, and if you've been having issues with your furnace, now's the best time of the year to replace it. It's Free Furnace Month at Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. When you replace your system, your furnace is free. Don't wait and pay more. Save your money for March Madness and get the ball rolling on your free furnace. Trust me, I trusted Anthony, and I have a new system, and you should too. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Valerie Clark here, future owner of Unlimited RV, a proud family-owned business ever since I can remember. My family started out renting RVs in my driveway in the suburbs of Kansas City when I was just 9 years old. Now, I just graduated high school, and Unlimited RV has become Kansas City's highest-rated RV dealer with an expanding service center, a brand-new sales center, and 10 acres of campers to choose from. My family is stoked for the opportunity to exceed your RV sales and service needs as we continue to grow as an Unlimited RV family.
Go to unlimitedrv.com.
What if you could combine the power of people and technology so when you're buying or selling your home, you have the best resources saving you time and money? Well, you can with the Brimacombe & Cohen team, founding partners of Compass Realty. Brimacombe & Cohen and Compass Realty are the only Kansas City company who have the tools to make your largest transactions stress-free. Want to learn more about Compass Concierge and the special programs available to you? Contact Shannon Brimacombe at 913-269-1740 for more information.
Kansas City's home of the Jayhawks, March Madness, and the Final Four. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's Brown looking for redemption. He hit it! Christian Brown with 3 fingers in the air, and the Jayhawks go up 4.
Saturday at 3, Kansas faces Texas. Coverage of Kansas basketball on Sports Radio 810 WHB is brought to you by Hy-Vee, Buck Roofing, Harry's Brewery Collection, Victory Ford, and 23rd Street Brewery.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Again, we want to remind everybody, Monday through Friday, Mostly Motorsports. You can watch it live on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, and racingboys.com. Mostly Motorsports, Monday through Friday, starts at 12 noon Central Time. Austin O'Neill and myself doing the show. Kirk Elliott sits with us on Fridays. We had Phone Fridays. That was fun yesterday, wasn't it? Did you have fun yesterday, Kirk? Don't get so serious and looking at things over here.
Every Friday.
You're kind of getting in a tunnel over there. I'm seeing a little bit of. You see the tunnel happening over here, Todd?
It happens. You know that. He's got something on his mind.
You asked me if I had fun yesterday. I was saying yes.
Yeah.
Every Friday.
The time flew by.
Me, Scott, Kirk,
right.
Austin,
that
all
was
in
a
here
good time yesterday.
Every Friday.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We're just going to sit here and shoot the bull on Fridays.
We have open lines, so if you guys, that are listening today,
Phone Fridays, what we're going to call that.
And you don't have to talk racing, man. If you've seen a cool movie,
we don't care what it is.
A cool concert, or you got some cool information on
it, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, man.
That's why the show is called Mostly Motorsports.
That's right.
Because we don't always talk about motorsports.
And we have pretty good guests. Here's a guest from last week. There's a list of our guests right there.
And did we decide we're going to play
Miss King?
Miss King.
That's right.
I'm part of the Steve King Foundation board. I don't do that much over there, to be honest with you, but they've asked me to be a part of the Steve King Foundation board, and it's a privilege to do so. But Steve King's sister, Danette, joined us on the show this week, and we had a chance to talk about the Steve King Foundation, and she is a great woman and a great leader of the Steve King Foundation, and this is the conversation I had with her.
Thank you for having us on today to talk about the foundation. And Scott, I know you say you haven't done much, but I do appreciate all of your involvement in helping us move the foundation forward and raise awareness. So the testimonials that you're working on and all of that's going to help a great amount too. So I really, really, really appreciate that. I'm no different than any race fan listening. You love going to the races. I grew up at the racetrack, went to my first race when I was just a little bitty one in the Carrier in Amarillo, Texas. My family's from Southwest Kansas, out by Dodge City. Hometown is Jetmore. So my family farms and we raced. That's what we did, and that's a great way to raise a family, a great way to do things together. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't long before my brother was ready to jump into a car and start racing. He started out locally, and the tracks there, Dodge City, was really where we started running the old track before they had the newer track. Mainly just around Southwest Kansas, and it turns out he was pretty decent at it. Certainly enjoyed it. So we farmed during the day, and they worked on the race car at night, and then we took off and raced. You were talking about Beverly earlier. I had the chance to meet her many, many times, and so Devil's Bowl was a place we would go, and we'd climb back in the Suburban with the old trailer behind us and make it home in time to feed cows on the next morning. And that's kind of how we grew up, was farming and racing.
Yeah. Your brother was so successful, and the night of his passing was no exception, right? I mean, he set the new heat race time, the amount of time it took to run one of those heat races. He broke that record that night, didn't he?
Yeah, the heat race 10-lap record, he set a new one that night. So that was in 2006, and from our perspective, he was just running so well. He had the dream most sprint car drivers have during qualifying at the Knoxville Nationals, and that is to lock their spot in for the A main. And he was on track to do that. We'd raced there a couple of years before, but we had never made the show during qualifying, and so that's what he was trying to do. And unfortunately, God had other plans for our family as he hit the backstretch at a good speed, and something broke, and so unable to turn the car and put it right into the wall between 3 and 4. And as I have said since then, drove himself right on into heaven.
Right. But let's talk, and again, putting this organization together, and what you guys have done for so many people. I can go back and I can think about some of the drivers that were injured while we were out on the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. I think of Travis Rylett. I think of Wayne Johnson. And I know that you were a key component that the Steve King Foundation was, making sure that Wayne Johnson's wife was there with him by his side when he was going through all these surgeries and all this hardship that they were going through when he got injured up there at Grays Harbor. That was a terrible deal. And I know the same goes for Travis Rylett. That was a terrible off-track accident. And Travis Perez, he lost his life in that accident as well. Mm-hmm. It was just a terrible thing. Just talk about what you guys do for people that are in need sometimes.
Well, we're set up a little bit different than some organizations in that we want to be able to provide that first round of help. You know, it often takes a while to get things put together to provide additional help, but the goal is to provide the help right when they need it. So getting a family member to an out-of-state hospital if that's where they need to be, yeah, or help with other transportation. So we try to gather funds so we have them in the bank account. So as soon as we find out about an incident, we are in a position to provide assistance for whatever that is needed. We try to be that conduit to help out in those moments of needs, and everybody's need is different. So we've tried to be not just very set in our path forward, but trying to understand what that need is and meet that immediate need while other resources are giving other resources time to get coordinated.
Right. And if anybody wants to make a donation to the Steve King Foundation, they can go to stevekingfoundation.org, and there's a banner on there, I believe, that they can click on if they want to make a donation to the Steve King Foundation. Correct?
Yeah, we love it when people click on that donate button.
Yeah. How many people over the years have you guys helped? Do you have a number on that?
We keep track of that, and we've helped just over 225 individuals. Yeah. And across the country, so across the United States, almost 30 states, as well as help for individuals in Australia and in Canada. Thank.
And that is the lady, the Danette King at the Steve King Foundation, that has really done such a great job of building up this charity, and has got a lot of support and really does great work.
She's awesome lady. Yeah, for sure.
Derek Hagar, who didn't make the A-Main last night because I flipped his race car in the third heat at Short Track Nationals last night.
Hold on. Are we sure he didn't flip his car, Kurt?
He rolled his car.
He flipped, but it wasn't the third heat race.
It wasn't in the third heat race, though.
It was in the third heat race. There were two flips in the third heat race last night. Two guys flipped at the same time. That was really a violent flip. We got video of that. We'll show that here a little bit. That was Chase Parsons and Jason Howell. We'll get into that here a little bit. But the other tumble in that third heat was by Derek Hagar. But Scott Traylor spoke with Derek Hagar before all of that earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports, and here is a portion of that conversation.
Planned on running the Outlaw Show last weekend at Columbus and on Friday in the Rev, and Mother Nature decided different on that. So we're looking forward to getting our season started off non-wing racing, something we don't do very much of, but we enjoy doing. So we'll go close to home and see if we can bring money back to Marion.
I can't remember. We were sitting here debating about it at the start of the show. Did you win the wing and non-wing portion down at Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial one year?
I've won. I think I'm the only driver that's won the non-wing and wing portion of it, but I haven't won them in the same year.
It wasn't the same year.
No, sir. Now I finished the year that I won both nights and driving for Mr. Hockett and Dave Cordy. I won both nights in their car, and then finished second both nights in my car.
Yeah,
with a wing on it.
Man, every time we see you down there at the Hockett McMillan Memorial, you're one of the guys that everybody knows you're going to have to beat. In fact, Austin O'Neill, who is my producer here, he's 18-year-old kid straight out of high school. Mm-hmm. He tells me there's nobody impresses him more getting through the middle than you. I told him, I said, man, that's because you're a guru on those shocks, right?
Oh yeah, man. I've been working with the shock program for a while now. Chris Santucci gave me a shot back when I was in high school, and taught me how to work on shocks and build shocks, and things presented itself to where I can open my own shock business, and we did back in 2015, and man, we've had a lot of success with our own stuff and customer stuff. So I try to tell people the more you understand of the car you're driving, the better off you're going to be, and that's really I think what steps our program up is being able to know what the shock's doing, what the torsion bars are doing, what the chassis is doing, other than just jumping in the car and going for it.
Do you think too many of these young kids nowadays they don't work on their cars anymore, do they? A lot of young kids don't.
That's I don't. You really don't see it. I mean, that's one thing that Kenny made me do before I even got in a race car was I went on the road and helped Marshall Skinner for a year back in 2005. Learned about a race car, learned how to put a race car together, learned maintenance, learned what components did what. And I think that really helped me as a driver is knowing what on the race car does what. I mean, you see now, like a lot of these kids, they get in there, the families, parents, they just throw money at it, and you only see them for a year or two because they run themselves dry. And, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I've been doing this since 2006. I mean, we got nice equipment. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's nice. We keep it up. We got a nice truck and trailer and the stuff to work with. But people see what we have now. It didn't happen overnight, and we built up to it over the years and made a good successful race team out of it.
I mean, I don't understand. Me personally, I took a lot of pride in knowing when I got out of the race car, when I went to my crew chief, giving him some ideas of what I think we might need to do to the car to make it a little bit better. When these kids get out of the car, they just say, "Oh, it's a little tight here, it's a little something here," but they can't tell you what you think, what you might need to do to the car to make it a little bit better. That's the thing that it just disturbs me a little bit, that these young kids can't get out of the car and say, "All right, maybe we need to put a little more roll into it. Maybe we need to change a bar on it or whatever." It just baffles me that they can't get out of the car and tell them that.
Exactly. I mean, it's the driving has changed a lot over the last couple of years. I mean, it's not as smooth as it used to be, and the respect level. I mean, I looked up to Tim Crawley racing. That's where I got my driving style from. Was watching Tim and trying to mimic what he does, and I give him credit for making me as aggressive a driver as I am, because if you wanted to beat him, you had to be just as aggressive as he was.
Yeah.
And be clean. Me and Tim, we can bump wheels and put on a good show for the fans, but we both know, hey, we're not going to take each other out on purpose. I don't feel the same way racing with the generation of racers we have now. You got to kind of keep your nose clean and just pick and choose your battles. Take the Hockett McMillan Memorial for example. Racetrack slicked off, and we shined. I mean, we could go anywhere on the racetrack we wanted to. I think a lot of the driving nowadays, if you don't have anything to lean on, they're out to lunch. They got to have a cushion to lean on. They got to have a heavy, rough racetrack. There's no finessing anymore. That I see, and they kind of, I guess, got to the track crew on Saturday and made the racetrack fit the rest of the drivers' driving style. So kind of we anticipated it slicking off quicker than what it did. We were just too tight for the whole feature. But I really shine whenever the racetrack's finesse and you got to think and move around and try to find the right line.
Yeah. Are you going to run more 410 races this year, you think?
Oh yeah, we'll run more 410 stuff. I'm still going to do 360 stuff, that's close to home and that pays good, and we'll do an outlaw schedule like we do, we normally do. Wherever the weather looks the best, that's where we're going to go, and wherever the pays the best, that's going to be number one on our list. So
yeah,
we got invited to go back to Bristol again this year, so we're gonna do that and do Knoxville and try some of that new Powerhouse series. I guess try some of their races that they got, close by. And I really want to go do the All-Star Speed Week and, just try to – I feel like doing the 410 stuff does nothing but up your 360 program because you get used to, everything being faster, your closing rates being faster, and you jump back in a 360 and it makes you drive the car different, in a better aspect. So, I think the 410 is going to do nothing but help our 360 program and let us venture out and do some more racing.
All right, there you have it. That's Derek Hagar, who didn't make the A main last night. Justin Zimmerman picked up the win. Shane Cockrum was second, and Landon Crawley third last night. Derek Hagar, unfortunately, didn't make it out of his heat race. I take it that he got upside down and tore up his car, so Kirk read that in the press release, and we'll just have to see how he does tonight. Last night only paid $1,000. Tonight, $5,000 to win down at I-30 Speedway in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to a Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame inductee. Tonight, it all happens. Kirk Elliott's going to be the MC of that event tonight. Todd Surprise is going to be running the camera. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be live on Racing Boys, so if you want to listen to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame banquet, it's going to be on our Facebook page, right, Kirk? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
everybody
can watch it.
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, John O'Neill Jr., the newest inductee to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, joins us next here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Join fellow college basketball fans at Kansas City's Big 12 Run on Saturday, March 12th at 9 a.m. in downtown KC. Runners are encouraged to wear their favorite team's colors and show their school spirit for this fun 5K race. Register today at Big12Run.com to get all the great participant perks, which include a free Big 12 basketball-themed shirt, a cool finisher's medal, and a celebratory beer after the race. It's Kansas City's Big 12 Run on Saturday, March 12th. Register at Big12Run.com. Union Broadcasting is a proud sponsor of the Big 12 Run.
Okay, so we got the chorizo dumplings, the cucumber empanadas.
Sarah's food truck is popping off.
Come on, guys, let's pick it up, all right?
But if she doesn't find a new chef, her truck will be stuck.
Call quit this morning. So, Jessica, I'm going to need you on the fryer.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the home opener for Sporting Kansas City on Saturday afternoon at 2:30 as they take on arch rival Houston Dynamo. And you can hear all of the action live right here on your home for Sporting Kansas City Soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Sporting KC hosting the Houston Dynamo in the home opener Saturday at 2:30 with the final whistle postgame show immediately following the match. Right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. I want to thank our good friends over there at Lucas Oil Products for believing in the Racing Boys for the last 12 years. Great people over there. And Forrest Lucas, the best in motorsports, man. Has anybody spent any more money on motorsports than Forrest Lucas?
No, I can't imagine who that would be.
Who would it be?
No.
I can't even think of one person that it might be.
Especially dirt track racing. I mean,
No doubt.
He's been the king.
Dirt track, drag boats, drag racing, ASCS, Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour. They do so much, man.
The diamond of the dirt tracks, too. His pride and joy, Lucas Oil Speedway.
Folks, if you haven't made it down to the diamond of dirt tracks, it's in Wheatland, Missouri. It's only about a couple hours away from Kansas City. You need to go down there. It is the nicest dirt track in the country, bar none. There's nothing even close to it. All right, let's bring on our first guest, Kirk.
He's going to be one of the inductees into the Hall of Fame tonight. The Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame has its induction ceremony, the first time in 2 years, by the way, back at the Elks Lodge in Blue Springs. John O'Neill Jr. joining us. John, congratulations on being a Hall of Famer.
Hey, guys. Good morning, and thank you very much, Kirk and Scott. Really appreciate it. It's gonna be a wonderful honor to be able to share that with so many friends and family.
John, you did so much in racing. You know, we were talking about it yesterday, I think it was, on Mostly Motorsports, about all the great accomplishments you had at I-70 Speedway and at Lakeside Speedway and other racetracks as well. But what is the standout moment in your career? Is there one race that stands out to you that really speaks of your career? I mean, I know you had a chance to run ASA. You did that some. You ran ARCA. What is the standout moment in your career that you think of?
You know, to pinpoint just one, I would honestly tell you, and I've shared this story with so many, the aha moment for me, it wasn't even a win. It was just a really hard battled race in the early days of asphalt. And it was when it finally clicked for me as a race car driver, when it all finally started. My dad, I'd had a couple of on-track incidents where I was using the chrome horn a little too much, and he didn't like that kind of driving, and he made it very clear that my butt was going to be parked if I didn't learn how to race. And if I touched another car with my front bumper, I was going to be parked for a couple of weeks. We were racing at I-70, and I remember going down in the backstretch, and at that time we were all racing around the bottom of the racetrack, and I'd got in a little bit deep, and I was going to hit the guy in front of me, and I quickly I moved up high and went to the second groove just to keep from running into me because I didn't want to get parked. And I drove around him, and I was like, wow, that worked out pretty good. So I went down the front stretch, and everybody went to the bottom, and I sailed it back up to the high side and drove around a couple more. And before you know it, I was challenging for a win. And that was probably one of the biggest moments, because it was one of those things. It was a lesson learned, because my dad didn't want me having a reputation of being a rough or dirty driver. He expected me to be racing cleaner than the guys that I was racing against. And I think him instilling that into me at an early age was probably my most memorable, because it set the stage for everything else that followed. And
was that in your
that's my best, fondest memory.
Was that in your modified, John?
That was in my modified, yeah.
Yeah. You were kind of a trendsetter back in those days, your dad and yourself. You guys always did things first. That's the thing that stands out in my mind, that whenever something new come along, you guys were the first to do it. Your dad was exceptional at finding things the first time, wasn't he?
He was a career fireman, so that lent him. He was, a deputy chief for Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department. That lent him a lot of time to just do a lot of research, a lot of reading. And he even did that even to when Austin started racing. He was always looking for ways. I mean, everybody else is running concept motors and high cubic inch, 2-barrel motors. And my dad truly believed that he could beat them all with a crate motor. and he did. You know, he proved it to us. I was skeptical, but he said, I've done the research. I know what we got to do. We can win with that combination. And, you know, while others were spending thousands of dollars, we bought one right off the shelf at Speedway Motors and had a pretty good time with it.
Yeah. John, how special is it for you to get inducted into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame along with your dad? That's got to be one of the most special moments in your life, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, what time is it? 8:49, and you're already going to try and make me cry.
I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to do that.
You know, no, in all seriousness, it's an absolute honor to be bestowed upon, you know, my father and myself. You know, I have so much to be thankful and grateful for. I think that the man that I am today was, you know, because of him. And, you know, I think as a father, I think all we want to do is see our kids.
Hey, John, you and your dad kind of followed similar paths. He would like to have gotten in a race car himself at a younger age, but he had to wait a little bit before he finally drove a race car. Same thing happened with you when you and Aaron Daniel got together and put a car together. You had to wait a while before he allowed you to get behind the wheel of a race car, and that was graduating from high school. How hard was that to get to high school, graduate, and then finally get to drive a car?
Yeah, you know, back then it was a different time, and it wasn't acceptable for kids to race against the adults. Now, you know, look, when I was young, I started Austin at Lakeside when he was 13, and he got to race micros before that. And, you know, it's an acceptable thing. But, you know, back then you didn't think about it, Kirk, but you think about it now, and you're taking away all that experience and that exposure to competition from these kids. That's why I don't have a problem with the young kids racing. You know, but, yeah, I grew up in a different time. And just blessed that I finally got to talk my dad into at least letting me try to race. I got a real quick story. I bought a racing go-kart for about like $300, and it was probably worth $5,000. But I bring this thing home, and it was a wedge style. I bought it from Austin Sexton, and he made me take it back. And then later on in life, when we started racing, we saw how sophisticated they were, and I said, "Yeah, I bought one of those for $300, and you made me take it back." So I don't think he was really too up on me getting following in his footsteps of racing, but you know, it turned out well. It's such a great family sport. It does so much for uniting, you know, a family. It's what we do as a family. You know, we don't go on vacation, we don't go fishing, we don't go to the lake, but you know, every Friday and Saturday you can pretty much find us at a racetrack.
Right. You battled a lot of great guys over the years, but I think my fondest memory is you and Jeff Klim battling it out. And, in fact, one night we aired the races live here on Sports Radio 810 WHB back in the day when we could do things like that, and you guys had a grudge race. Your memories of that grudge race and you and Jeff Klim and the battles that the two of you had over the years.
Jeff was one of my favorite racers to race against. Had a lot of respect and still do for Jeff Klim. I mean, he was, as I've always said, he was the working man's racer. The guy did more, you know, with his talent than anybody. He smooth and fast and a mechanic by trade. So he had that hands-on ability to do anything to his car and with his car. That race was pretty special that you guys did. That was the grocery store wars between Price Chopper, who I represented, and Hy-Vee. We raised a lot of money for charity with that, and those were the glory days. I tell people all the time that you missed I-70 because what was happening out there in its heyday, when what I'm going to call my time at I-70 was something special, and it hasn't been, you know, carried out since. I mean, when I-70 came back this past season, it was pretty cool. But it's not as cool as it was when we were racing pavement cars out there.
Yeah. John, a total debate that we had yesterday, and I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the show or not. Does Kansas City need another pavement track around here?
Man, yeah, absolutely it does. I just would, I would like to see, I would hate to see anybody make that type of investment and not be able to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
So I would caution anybody, but it certainly would lend itself to it. I think it would bring some more. I mean, it was the enthusiasm of the Kansas Speedway being built, coming out of the dirt tracks, when it had sat idled for so long, and everybody grew up just hearing about I-70. So like myself, I'd never, seen the pavement race. I was too young to watch to really understand it. Even though I'd went out there as a kid, but, there was that history and that glory about what I-70 meant. And when we finally got to step into that facility, when they reopened it in 88, and 89, it was something to behold, man. It was the legacy and the tradition that you were always raised caring about. I think we would have that same thing here. I think a lot of our kids that are racing, the pavement would really do them well.
I think so too.
Prepare them for advancing in the sport. And unfortunately, we don't have that.
Right.
And the only way that you're going to get to NASCAR is either you're going to have some money, you're going to have a way in, or you're going to have to live in the South and be around all those people to get exposed to them every day.
John, we only got about 45 seconds. I want to give you the final say of anything that you'd like to say to the people out there that got you inducted into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame, as well as your dad. Quickly, we've only got about a minute left here.
Yep, I would just first and foremost say thank you to CARB. What a great honor to all the past champions who voted and selected my father and I. I think it speaks volumes to the effort and the amount of work that we put into winning races and entertaining the fans. I would just like to thank everybody, all the fans, all my sponsors, crew members that supported me throughout the years. Without them, none of this would have been possible, and I'd just like to say thank you to each and every one of them, that everybody played a role. There was not one person that did anything
all right, John.
more than anybody else. And thank you all.
All right, John. We appreciate it. Congratulations on being an inductee for you and your dad, bud.
30. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Hey, look forward to seeing it tonight, John.
All right, there's John O'Neill Jr. We're going to take a break, top of the hour. We're going to come back. We've got more sound, and we've got TJ Giddings coming in. He's going to be inducted to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. It's all next, 15. Right here on Track Talk. Follow us over there on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or RacingBoys.com. Until then, I'm Scott Trailer for Kirk Elliott saying thanks for listening here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We fuel the outdoors. The open season sports
fellas.
will return to the Overland Park Convention Center Friday, March 11th through Sunday, March 13th. Come see the latest products, gear, and equipment for hunting, fishing, and outdoor enthusiasts. Attend an educational seminar featuring Michael Waddell from Bone Collector. Test out the newest products, shop show-only pricing, live fishing demos in the hog tank, and bring your buck for trophy deer scoring. Kids age 12 and under are free. Save with advanced discounted tickets at OpenSeasonSportsman'sExpo.com.
It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know, the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Trader along with Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. Producers Todd Surprise and Austin O'Neill here helping us out today. We want to thank everybody over at Sports Radio 810 for helping us out in hour number one. How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing great. I'm just looking forward to the.
You
big
got a
night
funny
tonight.
look on your face. What is that?
I'm just thinking about.
Are you thinking about what you have to do tonight at your MC job?
Yeah, it's a big deal. The Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame. It's been 2 years since we've been out there doing this.
Right.
It seems like a long time ago now. The world changed since we were last out at the Elks Lodge in Blue Springs.
That was our last, besides Scott's birthday party. That was the last public event
that you guys
we
really
all
did, right?
attended.
The world shut down after the last time we were out at Blue Springs.
Well, I think it shut down right after that birthday party, wasn't it?
You had your birthday.
We had the birthday party,
and
and John O'Neill Jr. was
That's
here,
right.
by the
Him and
way.
his wife was here.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing everybody. It's been too long.
Kirk,
So
your
it's-
dinger just went off.
His dinger dinged.
He didn't turn his volume down.
I think it was Lee probably giving us a text.
Right? I don't know. It might be our guest, TJ Giddings,
Saying,
talking
"What's
to him.
Now it's Lee Spencer said.
She's
texting me.
She ready?
So
is she
she's-
ready?
She's ready to go. Maybe she was waiting on a Zoom link. I don't know.
Oh, no. I'll
She's
call
home
her.
this weekend.
I'll call her, though. I'll call her.
All right. Okay.
No, Kerry Davis, Thad Dozier, TJ Giddings, Jerry Potter, Urban Chick, Ken Schrader, Ken Simon.
Is
and,
Schrader going to be there tonight?
I don't know. I hope so.
You think he will?
There's a chance that he might not be, because I think he had a commitment down in Mississippi somewhere, but weather may have called that off, and then he might find his way back to Kansas City. So I hope to see Kenny Schrader there tonight. You're going to have him on your Mostly Motorsports show on Monday, right?
Yeah, Monday. Kenny Schrader will join us on Mostly Motorsports.
He's a good guy. I love Kenny
good guy.
Schrader. I hope he's there tonight.
I'm
So-
going to tell him the story about the time that I raced with him in 1990 up at Hawkeye Downs. Bought tires from your grandpa and your dad to go up there and race. They had tires left over from the year before when they raced up there. I went up there. I qualified like 5th or 6th. And Schrader and us, we ran a dash for cash. And I all but ripped his bumper off of the back of his car because I wanted to show Ken Schrader that I could race with him. And if your grandpa was my dad, I would have been fired immediately because I just used him up. And I'm going to talk to Schrader. My question to Schrader would be, when you go and race these people at these dirt tracks, I bet you when he gets around these guys, they want to all show him that they're better than he is, right?
Right.
And I bet you they beat and bang on him a lot. I bet he's got to straighten out a lot of panels. What do you think, Austin? You believe that?
Yeah, that could be true, or they just have a high respect level for him, and
and not touch him
and
at
not
all.
touch him. Just be honored to be around him.
I wasn't that way.
The question I want to ask Ken Schrader is, what racetrack haven't you been to in the United States?
I think he's raced at all 50 states.
Oh, I'm sure he has at some
I think
point
he
in
has.
his career. Yeah, no doubt.
Close to it.
Yeah.
He's still going, though. I think he's not retired. I think he still gets out there whenever he can.
They had a picture of his shop a couple days ago, and it probably had 4 or 5 UMP modifieds in there.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Did you see where Kenny Wallace had his car for sale?
Yeah, he's kind of stepping back next year.
You know what he said? He said that car was turnkey, take off the carburetor, because he wanted to keep his Willys carburetor, he said. But he said that the car was turnkey, $20,000, and that's got a Toyota motor in it, I believe, doesn't it?
Wow. Yeah, that's what he runs.
Yeah, he runs the old truck motors.
Yeah.
I believe that's what he runs.
How old? Kenny Wallace is not as old as...
He's 58 years old, I believe. Yeah.
Now, Kenny Schrader, I think he's 66 years old.
Yeah.
So, same age as Sammy Swindell, who's still racing. by the
About
way.
your age, Kurt.
Kenny Schrader, a little older than me. I think.
I know, but not much.
Not much. But
Yeah.
anyway.
You're kind of old. You know that.
Ken Schrader is...
Did you know you're old, Kurt?
I'm old.
Yeah. Okay.
Ken Schrader is just one of the great guys in Have you ever run into anybody that doesn't like Ken Schrader? I haven't met that person.
No, I don't know. I wonder if Lee Spencer likes Ken Schrader. Do you like Ken Schrader, Lee?
Big fan.
Yeah, no doubt. How's it going?
Well, I finally got in the pool yesterday, so there's that, right? So I'm making progress and had the heat on long enough to warm up the pool, so that's good.
It's hot tub weather around here.
Well, we got both, so.
Good for you. Do you get in the pool and then the hot tub, or the hot tub then the pool?
I get in the pool and then the hot tub after my workout.
Yeah.
Well, it's so nice here in Kansas City. We could be racing out at Kansas Speedway, Lee. We've had colder weather out there for races than we've gone through this week, so it's beautiful here.
Hey,
is the storm supposed to come through there today, too, before it gets here?
It is.
I think so.
It's supposed to roll through here today.
Okay.
Yeah. Lee, before we get talking about NASCAR, let's talk about last night's World of Outlaw race. Was that fantastic or what?
Sheldon's on a roll, and I asked Ricky about it. Ricky Stenhouse's team owner about it at Daytona, and he's just stoked. He knows he's got a kid who's checkers or wreckers, but man, when he comes home big.
Yeah. That battle when they were running for second, third, and fourth between Hodshield, Elias, and Sweet, man, that was such a great battle. Those guys racing for second, third, and fourth.
It was, and honestly, I had Brad as the winner. Before it began, I said, Brad's got to have this, because he's just really, really good there. And so
he had a terrible start, though, in that race last night, Lee. He just didn't. He started up front, but he faded back right off the green flag.
I think it'll work out. Probably my biggest surprise yesterday was just seeing Casey Kane back in the field after that nasty wreck he took in the season opener. So, but I think Brad, Brad's on such a roll, and but it's good to see young talent up at the front. There was a deal. I wonder if I can find where it was at. There was a little nugget as far as 9 of the consecutive truck races have been won by somebody 23 years or younger. And when you see the influx of these kids that are rolling into sprint cars right now, there's so much young talent coming in, and which, it's great for racing because you know that these guys are going to be around for a long time, and they can build up fan bases and, make the sport stronger.
We see that a little bit in NASCAR. That transition starting to take place a little bit. Some of the people are starting to gather up some of these young drivers that are running over there in the Cup level. We see it, right? I mean, we see people starting to, everybody, my driver was Bill Elliott, my driver was Dale Earnhardt, or whoever it is, one of the old timers, right? But now we're starting to see people starting to attach themselves to some of these young people.
I think they're vibrant, and I think I'm working on a Tyler Reddick story, right? And I probably said this over the last couple of weeks on this show, but the thing of it is, I asked Kyle Larson, who do you think is the next guy that if he gets in the right equipment or the right situation or they find the right chemistry, that he's going to have a breakout year? He didn't hesitate. He said Tyler Reddick. And I really believe, as I wrote in the column earlier this week, was that those guys have an opportunity, RCR does, Richard Childress Racing, because they developed this car to just really break out, right? Give Austin what he's looking for. And Austin's got to be feeling the heat a little bit from somebody of Tyler Reddick's talent and potential. To get up on the wheel, and which was a question I asked him on the teleconference this week. I just think that the way Tyler Reddick, given an opportunity, will make the most of it and excel, that it's got to bring Austin up to his A game as well. And so I think that we will see that organization, with all their development, with as good as their pit stops were last week, really start to break through.
And I think Tyler Reddick had a winning race car last week. There's no doubt about that. Had that tire not gone down, he very easily could have walked away with the victory, and he's going to win races. There's no doubt about that.
I'm just really excited about the season. And, the other story that I'm working on, I interviewed Eric Jones's new crew chief, Dave Ellens, who was with Noah Gragson the last few years. This is his first opportunity in Cup. And he's really, having worked in Xfinity and just kind of, getting his feet wet there as far as being a crew chief, and now being able to move up with Eric Jones. And, Eric Jones has something to prove as well, because being on that single car team with Richard Petty Motorsports, there just wasn't the resources. It wasn't a situation where they could really, even though they had a technical alliance and were on the campus at RCR, now actually being with a second team like GMS, they can share those resources. And I think Chevrolet as a whole, with them building the new R&D center in Concord, North Carolina, is putting an emphasis on these teams working together. For such a long time, we had Hendrick in Concord and Childress up in Welcome, Lexington, North Carolina area, but nobody worked together. And I'm sure I said this a couple of weeks ago, leading into Daytona, but I ran into a friend of mine. He's been an engine builder for RCR for years. And he basically said, I said, boy, those Fords look strong. I said, what are you going to have to do? He goes, I don't know what to do because our drivers will not work together. So I'm hoping that, Chevrolet puts the same kind of pressure on their drivers that Ford did on theirs to make them work, because, quite honestly, we are moving into a factory-backed, every year it gets a little bit more. The factory, because they give so much money to these teams, they've got high expectations. And if, the boss at the factory says, you guys need to work together because we want to see results, if they're not doing that, then they'll start looking for new, vibrant partners to work with that will toe the line.
Mm. Hey, do you know what happened to Zane Smith last night, why he was disqualified?
I didn't get to the bottom of that, but I'm working on that. Not quite sure. I really expected him to go 2 for 2. I was probably even more surprised that out of the KBM camp that it was Chandler and not John Hunter, that, even though I'm kind of biased because he's my next door neighbor, but
right.
I was kind of, and I shouldn't be biased, but you want your neighbors to do well.
Right.
But I was kind of surprised that of the 3 drivers that it was Chandler. But Chandler, he finished the season on top of the board, and so I'm not surprised that he's breaking out. He's just very young and very green, and really needs a lot of polishing for me to take him seriously. So it's no, but I'll find out and let you know.
Yeah, his boss was really impressed with what Chandler did last. You don't often see Kyle Busch smiling in victory lane unless he's a winner, but
especially when he runs second.
But he was pretty proud. He was pretty proud of that kid, what he did last night.
If you remember a couple years ago, he really rode the butts of David Gilliland, Ty Gilliland and Harrison Burton. And he expected the same kind of performance out of them that he had seen with Eric Jones and with Christopher Bell. Because quite frankly, when Toyota puts these drivers in at KBM, they're part of the development program and they expect them to excel. They expect to see the wheels turn and the development to where they're getting ready to take that next step, whether it's Xfinity or Cup. You look at a situation now where Ty Gibbs, and he's checkers or records, but most time checkers, right? I mean, kid's just a phenomenal talent. Just mind blowing. I mean, I can't remember seeing somebody that young come in, probably not since Kyle Busch, and I say that because, Larson was already established in our eyes before he got here, and I knew with Ganassi equipment, we really never see what we were expecting out of him. But, you look at Ty, and I can honestly say before him, you have to go to Kyle Busch. And that's 15 years now, right? Before you had a driver that you just knew was going to be had absolutely checked all the boxes. And, just hanging out with Ty, he's just so mature. He's like a Joe Mini-Me, right? I mean, he can glad hand with the best of them. I mean, you're sitting there and you're looking, it's like, this kid's 19. That's, it's just mind-blowing. But, I'm kind of going full circle. But you go back to KBM, right? And KBM, they're expected to mold these drivers to get them ready to make that next step. And, Ty jumped right from ARCA to Xfinity and didn't go the KBM route, didn't go the truck route. But these kids that do need that kind of seasoning, that aren't elite talents, but, probably have enough talent to drive a Cup car, the pressure's on Kyle to make them perform, to make them really show what they're capable of accomplishing. And you never saw, he was so hard on Todd Gill. I mean, I'll just never forget just how nasty he was. He actually came across like he was his father. Tom Busch was so hard on Kurt and Kyle, but that kind of tough love got two boys into the NASCAR Cup Series. But he just never saw that out of those two. So I can understand why, 3 or 4 years later, to finally have two drivers he's capable of winning week in and week out makes the boss happy.
Right. It's time for Todd Bodine to hang it up.
Yeah. I wonder who wanted it more, him or his wife. I mean, I'm sure he missed it. But there are certain wives that really like the spotlight too, but I don't know.
He's got 5 more races, right, to get to 800.
All I know is that he never cracked the top 20 last night.
Well, how early was it where he spun? I mean, that was pretty early in the going.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Didn't start out well for him.
And let's look at the top 10. If you can't finish in the top 10 in a truck race, you really, to me, it's you're either there and you're warming a seat, or you're there, trying to win races. And yeah, they're all trying to win races, but I mean, there's a reason why you look at trucks and then you look at the Xfinity Series and you look at Cup, and on any given day, somebody is going to be able to win out of this percentage of seats, and that percentage of seats. You get to the Cup Series, and it's, the depth of the field is simply not, it's not going to blow your doors off. I think Ty Majeski, he's 11th, but, he could do better. Carson Hocefer, he's somebody that, has potential, but, you start getting down below that, and it's just, if they're not having technical issues, or something's not happened to them, there's, it's the guys up in the top 10, and you bring in somebody like a Ryan Preece or Matt DiBenedetto,
right?
That if they're not finishing in the top 10, especially somebody like DiBenedetto, who I really thought had more than ample opportunity to get to make a name for himself in Cup and didn't, then you damn well better start being a top 5 car week in and week out in truck.
The 98 truck, he crashed himself last night, didn't he?
Well, there's that, right?
I mean, that was such a brain fade moment right there when he jerked that wheel down. I don't remember who he ran into, but he just crashed himself. That's all he did.
I mean, this happens more often than not in this series, and yeah.
No, you could just leave that one alone a little bit.
Yep.
So what happens at Las Vegas in the Cup Series this weekend?
How do you pick against Kyle Larson? I mean, it's
Right.
we're going to have this conversation every week, aren't we? Who's going to win this weekend? Kyle Larson. Who's going to win?
It seems like every week he's the favorite. Whenever they go to a 1.5 mile or 2 mile track, everybody picks him as the favorite, especially if you get up there and you run up by the wall. If you run up by the wall.
I think that's also really good for Tyler Reddick, right?
Yeah.
I think that could be really good for Christopher Bell. But Larson's the defending winner of this track, and I know that, and you guys will agree with me. He is going to start get the rash of crap that Jimmy Johnson got back in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. It's coming.
Sure.
Go ahead.
No, it's coming. That's what I was going to say.
Because he's going to keep having double-digit seasons, and everyone else is going to have to sit back and watch because it's not going to change anytime soon. So all I can say is, folks, you better get used to it.
Yeah,
that's right. Because Jimmy Johnson was a good guy. He was a nice guy too.
One of the
Great guy.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met in NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson.
Super guy, and I will go to my grave saying that nice, super guy, nice guy would have never won 7 championships without Chad Knaus on the box. Never.
I agree with you.
Would have never won, the races he did without Chad Knaus on the box. Yeah, he won other races when Chad was suspended because, Chad always liked to work in the gray area. But,
right.
That was a situation where it was that combination and that chemistry that enabled Jimmy Johnson to flourish and be his best self.
How about RC sending 1 million rounds over to Ukraine? How about that story?
Well, I think I'm going to stay away from the politics of it and just say that I'm glad that he did because you think about where he was and with the NRA and how we've seen how corrupt that they've been in the past. So it's like I think that this is kind of like a goodwill mission for RC.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Xfinity Series race today. Last week it was Cole Custer coming through with the win.
I like pulling for Cole.
That was a good race last week. Very entertaining.
I really thought it was a great race. There's so much buzz around NASCAR right now, and it's good buzz. And to see young, fresh faces like that, and I think Kyle Larson, even though he's familiar to us, he's not as familiar to your NASCAR fans because it's taken him this long in NASCAR to really break through. But I think Cole Custer is another one of those kids in the right situation. And, he had a rough year last year. That whole organization had a terrible year. I mean, you think about Eric Almirola, he's the guy that's winning, and the rest of them are kind of sitting back and waiting for that to happen. But when you have a year when Kevin Harvick can't at least knock down a couple of victories, something's not right with the organization. It's not the drivers. So for Cole to have the opportunity to get a little bit of that sunshine, I thought that worked out really, really well for him. And I think that Chase Briscoe is, another one of these drivers that if he gets some opportunity to run in Xfinity, it'll help his Cup program as well. But seeing what we saw last week from Stewart-Haas Racing, I thought that was really, it started to show that they turned the tide. And, I said this, a lot of people asked about what's wrong with Stewart-Haas Racing, what's wrong with the Fords, because, it wasn't just Stewart-Haas. Penske wasn't great. And I really thought that Ford had already dumped its interest in the Gen 6 car and put it all in the Gen 7 car because it's, if you're not going to beat the Toyotas and the Chevys and you see somebody like Larson having the kind of year he's having, you start working on the next project. You try to get a head start just to get yourself on even playing field. So for Stewart-Haas Racing to be the only team that put 2 cars in the top 10 last week, and to have 3 in the top 11, I thought that was pretty sporty because, after Cole went and won the Xfinity race, he at least, came back and finished 11th in the Cup race. So I think that it helped him to some degree to learn the track. And that track is so tricky. California was so tricky when it came to tires and just as abrasive as it is. So that was a good weekend for the kid and who grew up not far from there in Orange County. So, good on him. The other, his teammate, you also have to look at his teammate, Eric Almirola, who's, currently 7th in the points. And, could it be the new crew chief combination that he has over there? Could it be that Mike Bugaravitz, his old crew chief, is now like the general manager overseeing the Cup program? I think that there's a lot of things that we see going for the positive over at Stewart-Haas Racing right now.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people thought the Fords were going to be the bomb this year, and it hadn't turned out that way. When we were at Daytona, everybody was thinking about, man, look at the Fords, right? But it didn't pan out that way in my eyes.
Well, I think it's really early to tell, but I think that they put a lot of emphasis on, on the new car, and I would say give it time. It's you kind of wonder if Tony Stewart's selling his Indiana house, and if he's going to be spending more time, out west, and like I said, I think it's good that they put Mike Bugaravitch and kind of have a couple of technical guys really overseeing that 4-car operation in the short term.
Yeah, Lee, what do you got coming up on Racing Boys?
Working on a Tyler Reddick piece and a Dave Ellens piece, and so should have Tyler up today and Ellens for my Sunday feature.
All right, Lee. Well, we appreciate it. We got some sound that we want to run, and we got a couple other guests to come on the show, so we appreciate you taking the time. And we'll talk to you on Monday talking about what happened this weekend at Las Vegas. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, it'd be delightful.
All right. Thank you so much, Lee.
Have a joyful weekend.
You too, Lee. Thanks.
All right, Lee. There you have it, Lee Spencer. And I guess we want to start off running some sound. Let's get some sound done here.
Yeah, we got TJ Giddings coming up live here a little bit later on in the hour. So you had some pretty good conversations this past week. Which way do you want to go?
Well, I want to go with a guy that we got to know really well up in the Pacific Northwest. He is the promoter of Grays Harbor. Bert Johnson is a good guy and just a friend of the Racing Boys, and we wanted to have him on the show, mostly motorsports this week, and this is that conversation I had with him.
We're going to miss you for not being out here this year, and I always look forward to you and ASCS coming out here, and you're right, with the tours not coming out this direction this year, so we've regrouped a little bit. We're still going to have the Brownfield Classic, and everything is going to move forward.
Yeah, the Brownfield Classic is on June 18th and 19th. It's one of my favorite races of the year. Before we get into talking about what's going on at the racetrack this year, let's talk a little bit about Fred Brownfield and what he meant to that facility.
Absolutely. So, Fred was a staple out here in the Northwest. Fred started up at, of course, he was a racer, number one, and went on the tour with the Outlaws. We'll throw that out there. And then he landed back home and ran Skagit Speedway for a couple of years. And then Grays Harbor Raceway opened up, and Fred got that facility and did a lot of good things out here for our facility. And he built it from what it was and to what it is. And the difference being is it was a 3H track, but there was a little room to grow on it. So Fred added to the racing surface itself, extended the track out a little bit, and it is what it is today. So it's a little bit larger. So it's a basic 3/8 on the inside. Not quite a half mile on the outside, but it's a large 3/8. And you've been here, Scott. You know that. It's a big track.
It is a big track, yeah, for sure. You know, what seems to me is that the fingerprint of Fred Brownfield still lays on that racetrack, and I'm sure that you take a little bit of what Fred brought to Grays Harbor and apply it yourself, but it seems like his fingerprint is still on there a little bit, right?
Quite a bit, actually. I mean, most people, because they loved what Fred had done, they compare you. So, I've got some pretty big shoes to fill in my position to come close to what Fred had done out there. But we're doing our darndest, and we're making some really big imprints of our own now.
Yeah. The layout of one of the most beautiful backgrounds in all of motorsports is at Grays Harbor, right? It's just
absolutely.
It's just one of my favorite places to just see the mountains and everything that's going on around there. It's so surreal where that little track is located at.
So basically, as you come in, it's located at the fairgrounds in Elma, Washington, and the motto of the town is Gateway to Grays Harbor. Grays Harbor County itself has a lot of amenities to offer out there. So you've got the ocean, Pacific Ocean, just a few miles away. So you got clam digging out there, you got salmon fishing out there, and the biggest thing that Grays Harbor is known for, it's the timber capital of the world. When you go into the town of Aberdeen, which is about 20 miles to the west, that's their motto of their town. It's timber capital of the world.
Yeah.
Which, when we get into our schedule, we'll talk about our new Timber Cup coming up this year.
Yeah. Well, let's go over your schedule a little bit. It looks like we mentioned the Fred Brownfield Classic is going to be June 18th and 19th, but your season opener starts April 16th. Let's just talk a little bit about your schedule this year.
Absolutely. So we do. We start off on April 16th, and as you know, out here in the Northwest, it's always a little bit iffy on that particular month of April. Weather sometimes is phenomenal to us, and sometimes it says, we're going to have to wait another week before we get going. But I think we're going to be just fine. I believe we have 31 events scheduled out this year, which is an increase of, I believe, 2 events this year over last year. And last year we increased over the 2 year prior because, we were kind of, like most people, off on that COVID year. But once we roll through April, here's a little surprise that we threw out to the Northwest this year that's just going to be an annual phenomenal event, and that's going to be our Timber Cup. So what we've got there is we've got the NARC King of the West sprint cars coming into Washington State for their first point race ever, which we have a doubleheader there, the 28th and 29th. And they're going to have a speed week that actually starts in Southern Oregon on Thursday. Then they hit Willamette Speedway on Friday and then come to Grays Harbor on the 28th and 29th. And the town of Elma has actually taken this on themselves. The Chamber of Commerce, we're putting together a parade on Sunday the 29th. We're going to do a meet and greet with the drivers on the 29th and do a little barbecue for them. And fans are pretty doggone excited about seeing the 410s come up from Northern California to Grays Harbor Raceway. And on top of that, we've got the WSS wingless sprints tying in with them to their Salute to Indy on that weekend.
Oh, wow.
And we'll top it off with the modifieds right on that same weekend and have a giant fireworks show on Sunday. It's going to be a huge program. Huge. And we're looking forward to this as an annual event.
Before we let you go, Bert, is there anything that we've left out that we need to talk about a little bit that you'd like to get out there to the race fans that are listening on Mostly Motorsports right now?
Well, I'm sure there is, but as you and I talk, I get rolling on a few things and I get tied up. But go to our website, GraysHarborRaceway.com. Check our schedule out. Check some of our fun events we have going on, and check out the community out here. People just love it out here in the Northwest. It's green, blue during the sunny days, of course, and just good, fresh air out here.
Grays Harbor Raceway. You've been there many, many times.
Oh, man. One of my favorite places to go to.
I've not been there. I'd love to go there sometime.
Oh, well, Kirk, we could just take a trip up there.
We'll have time to do it now. Right?
I know a place called the Tulip that we could stay at up there, not far from the racetrack.
Cool. I don't. You know, the
Tulip Inn. I've spent a few nights at the old Tulip Inn.
The last time I was in the Pacific Northwest was over 50 years ago. If you believe that, I was 15. Went with my uncle and aunt and my cousin on a long trip with a Starcraft camper.
Right.
That's the only time I was ever in the Seattle area.
Right,
Best waterfalls.
I remember looking at the big mountain. What is the big mountain that's
Rainier?
near? Mount Rainier.
Mount Rainier.
I remember seeing that back
Best
then.
waterfalls I've ever seen up there. When we visited the Great Northwest, we stayed at a Airbnb, and literally 10 minutes from one waterfall, 15 minutes from another one, 2 minutes from another one, and so you could get up early before the tourists hit out there. And man, it was. I would go up there in a New York minute. I tell you, that's great country up there, and the weather. It's like you said, man. It's just perfect because it just doesn't get too hot and doesn't get a little too cold.
No,
and
it's nice
just
up there
nice.
for sure. All right, Kirk, you want to set up this next one?
You spoke with Randy LaJoie earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports. Randy's always a fun guy to talk to. He's a two-time Xfinity Series champion in NASCAR. And he was a pretty good race car driver back in the day. But he's more known now for the Joy of Seating, seat manufacturer. And he's an advocate for safety for drivers. Normally we see him at the Chili Bowl. Didn't see him down there this year.
No, not this year. Didn't see a few people down there this year.
So, but Randy LaJoie, always fun interview. And here's part of that conversation Scott Traylor had earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports.
I raced a seat in Maine, and I was a Connecticut kid. I went to Maine and took a seat out of a guy's car. Jimmy Spencer's modified so I could drive a Busch North car. And then his brother, after I run second in the Busch North car, come over to me and said, Randy, come on. He goes, jump in this modified. I said, what do you mean? He says, yeah, they don't have enough cars, $600 to start, so I entered you. I said, Eddie, it doesn't have a seat. And as he threw me in the window, and I buckled the seat belts, and he put the window net up, he goes, they're not going to check. So I drive on the racetrack in a defending champion's backup car, brand new motor, brand new sticker tires. Yeah, they had to throw the yellow to get me off the track.
With no seat.
No seat. Yeah. So now I'm trying to sell seats for people because it's probably a lot better than having none.
You probably don't share. You probably don't share that story with too many people over the years.
Well, I do because that's racers would do anything to drive a race car.
Yeah. Randy, how'd you get into the seat business?
My dad bought this seat from Mark Donahue in 1971 at a trade show in Hartford, Connecticut. My dad was a racer.
Mm-hmm.
He said, wow. He looked at Mark, was a Trans Am champion, had his Trans Am car. My dad said, man, that thing looks comfortable. And Mark says, go ahead, climb in it. My dad climbed in. It was very similar size. He says, wow, this is amazing. And Mark says, I make them. I'll sell you one. So my dad bought it, and it was a lot larger for the Trans Am car. It was a lot more beefier, headrest, and went way down to your knees. Pretty similar to what the Cup cars are today.
Right.
But to make it fit into the modified, he had it chopped up. And once he did, he had a guy make them. So when I started, here, use this seat.
Wow.
So that's the seat that I used. And the more you race, the more people call you.
Yeah.
And I never brought my own seat probably for the first 4 or 5 years. And I wish I had because, my seat held you by your shoulders and your hips.
Right.
And there was nothing on your ribs. Well, everybody else's seats held you by your ribs. There was nothing on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So I would damn near fall out the right side windows of the cars. I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And then 94, NASCAR says no more fiberglass. Because I used to have a frame around it, a steel frame.
Right.
And it's like, hey, we're outlawing fiberglass seats. So I said, okay, how the hell am I going to make this thing out of aluminum? And I brought it to the manufacturers, the seat manufacturers, and Steve Richardson tried to help me. He goes, Randy, it's too hard. Brian Butler said, wouldn't even attempt. He said, no, I'm not even going to attempt to make that. And I finally found a guy in Ohio that ran a Porsche, very similar Mark Donahue seat.
Mm.
And he was a race fan, and he builds halfway stamping stuff, and he knows the stamping people. And now the next thing you know, I pretty much started a business in 95 because NASCAR wouldn't let us use fiberglass anymore.
Wow.
I've had to change my presentation because I almost got beat up a couple times. And my wife says sometimes my presentation ain't as good as it should be. I mean, I would go to a guy's car and just look inside of it and grab the thing. If the seat moved, it's no good.
Right.
You know, and then somebody come over and they'll say, well, what are you doing to my car? I was like, pal, is this your car? You're dumb because you're going to get hurt. And I moved the car again. Don't touch my car. Okay. Why? What do you mean? I was like, well, okay. Just if you hit something, your body's in this.
Yeah.
Where's it going to go? You're going to flop all over the place. Well, yeah, okay. No problem. I'm just saying if you don't flop around, it's a whole lot better.
Yeah, yeah. So you've had that conversation with many people over the years.
I mean, you would think I'm trying to steal their firstborn. And I'm just trying to help them. I was like, guys, I might try to sell you a seat. I was going to go buy one that's, instead of my $2,500 one, go buy one that's $2,000. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Just get yourself a better seat because in this day and age, the information is there. And I'm so glad that, a lot of the late models, the dirt late models are going to certified seats. The sprint cars they're a little lackadaisy.
Yeah.
So it's coming. Certified seats, they usually won't hurt the person.
Right. Well,
if they're mounted correctly.
And that's
another issue.
That's a whole nother issue because a lot of people don't know how to mount seats, do they?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
What's the worst mounted seat that you've ever seen?
One pop ribbon in the middle of the back. Pop ribbon. Yeah.
No way.
The guy told me it was okay because it was a steel pop ribbon.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's a racer.
Oh my goodness. I just can't even believe somebody would do that. Well, I'm sitting here looking
What's the matter? That's all the mounting places they provide.
Right.
And at the time, that's all they did.
Right. If you want to see more about the Joy of Seating, go to thejoyofseating.com or you can give them a call at 704-795-7474. If you want a quality seat that's not going to get you hurt, the Joy of Seating is the route to take, man. I'm sitting here looking at these seats, and they're unbelievable, the quality of these seats. And I can't imagine the guy that welds these seats up, man. He's got to be one of the best welders I've ever seen. I look at the welds on these seats. It's remarkable.
That's a signature. When you look at people's welds, I've been blessed to have the same welder. He just left me. But 2 years ago, he was 18 years. Now this boy I got now went to damn near the same school. And they are very similar, and they're very talented. And it's fun to look at. I just sent off about 50 seats. He got sick with COVID. I sent up about 50 seats to Joe Gibbs, the aviation department. They got about 4 or 5 welders there. And to see all the different signatures in the welds, it's fun to look at,
And there you have it. That's Randy LaJoy, who joined us here on Mostly Motorsports. Again, Mostly Motorsports airs Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. Randy, a good guy.
Would you say of all the safety features that we've seen in race cars, the racing seat itself is the most important?
A head and neck restraint is right there with it, I believe.
Yeah.
Because
basal
skull fractures was a big deal back in the day, right? And when your head gets whipped forward, when you have a hard impact to a wall, I think the head and neck restraint and the combination of the head and neck restraint and the seat together is the greatest combination of two safety pieces I think maybe we've ever seen.
Saved a lot of drivers' lives.
No doubt.
No doubt about it. We've seen some pretty horrific wrecks. See these drivers walk away. And that head and neck restraint that came about after Dale Sr. was killed down at Daytona. And it always takes somebody to get killed before we see some of these safety features.
Right.
Joe Weatherly got killed back in the day. Then we saw the window net. And there's been different things come up, but it's always been a result of somebody getting killed.
Right. I want to play a little video from last night. Justin Zimmerman picked up the A-feature win. It was a 20-lap, $1,000 win race last night at I-30 Speedway. But there was a pretty bad wreck, and we've got some Facebook video I believe somebody sent us, and I want to roll this video real quick. and let everybody see this.
This was in the third heat last night.
This is pretty scary stuff right here. Let me just say, look at this car. It clears the fence and lands right in front of the grandstands. And let me just tell you this, folks.
That's scary.
That area, I've stood in that area countless times and watched races where that car landed right there. Countless times I've stood there. I remember when Jason Johnson flipped over that fence one time and landed on the concession stand back there in the bathrooms. So it was just a miracle that nobody was standing right there.
It landed in front of the. Look again. It landed. There's a guy in a 4-wheeler. It landed behind him. He's in front of the. At the end of this, watch this.
That could have been.
There's a guy on a 4-wheeler right there at the fence line.
Oh man, the wreck itself was nasty.
Now watch, 4-wheeler right there. See it?
Oh my gosh,
he ducked.
It went right over his head.
He ducked.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Nobody was hurt in that incident. Nobody was hurt. Chase Parsons and Jason Howell were the two guys that flipped right there. Derek Hager had just tumbled his car right ahead of that. This was on the ensuing restart after Derek Hager's crash. This crash occurred.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to our friends up in Minnesota, Joshua, Teddy, Jackson. They're listening up there in Minnesota. And I also saw somebody listening. Kelly, she said she's listening from Central Point, Oregon. So we want to thank the people that are listening around the country to the show this morning. It's always good to know people are listening outside of the state. How many? We're averaging what are we up to? 39 states now?
I believe 40 now.
40 states, and how many countries? About a half a dozen countries, right?
Yep.
Including Russia.
And Poland and Germany. So we're getting over there.
We're getting over there. We're in the middle of the battle, I guess. I don't know.
You never know. You might have some unfortunate soldiers listening to our show.
Yep. Darn it, man. I hate that. What's going on over there?
Yeah, if you're listening in Russia, go take the tyrant out. Go get him.
There's a bounty. There's a bounty on him, isn't there?
Kill him.
Yeah, kill him.
That'd solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it?
Do you believe Kirk just said that? Do you believe he said that?
Are
you? Is that a jaw-dropping moment right there?
Vladimir needs to go.
Oh my God!
You never know what Kirk's gonna say. You
never know. You never know what he might say.
Well, don't you agree? Vladimir needs to go.
Austin, is Kirk different off the air than he is on the air?
A
little bit. Yeah.
But everybody is.
No, I think I'm the same.
Yeah, well, you're the same.
I'm the same a-hole as I am on air as off there.
Well, somebody over there in Russia, go kill him. Take him out.
Right. All right, Kirk.
That'd help, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
If you want to. Kirk, you want to take care of this next interview here?
I can. Of course, we've talked about the Hall of Fame all morning long. Tonight is the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And one of the inductees tonight is T.J. Giddings, who is a great sprint car driver. And he is joining us right now. TJ, congratulations on joining the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you and Scott for having me on.
How big of a shock was this when you found that you've known it now for over a year now? We've been waiting a long time to get this ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. You know, like you said, the whole world changed. You know, but it was very humbling. I haven't been around it much in a long time, so it was very, very, very great to hear.
You know, sometimes when you're out of sight, out of mind, you wonder if people remember the accomplishments that you had in racing. And this is a way to solidify what you've done as a driver in the past, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, with me, Central Auto Racing Boosters been part of basically my career, my whole career. You know, I was very fortunate. And I think it was 1975 or 76. I was Rookie of the Year for CARB, and to be put into their Hall of Fame is pretty humbling.
You know, it didn't seem like your career really lasted all that long, but you really made hay while you did. Why did you retire so early?
Basically I was done. It was, I don't know how to really put it, but I like to have a lot of fun.
All right.
And when it became a job, you know, it was rough. It was rough on the family. You know, had 2 boys at home, and I think the last 2 years that I raced full time, I might have been home maybe 2-3 months at a time. So that's why I respect these guys out on the road so much.
Yeah. TJ, we asked John O'Neill Jr., he was on here with us in hour number 1, and I want to ask you the same question. What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment as a driver? If you think about all the races that you ran and everything that you've done and all the success that you've had as a driver, what is your number one thing that you'd like to hang your hat on?
Oh, wow. You know, that's you know, for all the things that happen, you know, your mind's cluttered with everything, and it makes you start thinking about it. But probably for me, I mean, there was a lot of good races I had. You know, I got to race against the best, you know, some of these legends that were, you know, everybody talks about daily. But I'd say my biggest accomplishment was the fans. You know, I loved the fans. I loved the kids. You know, used to Knoxville Raceway after the races. They used to have to run me out because I wanted to talk to every kid, you know, that came up to the car because I felt like we owed it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, as far as driving, you know, shoot, every race was fun. Unfortunately, you had a lot of crashes when you raced as much as we did.
Yeah, but one victory doesn't stand out in your mind as being maybe your greatest accomplishment. You can't think of one.
Well, you know, I had a couple, but probably the biggest one, and getting back locally, is the old Lakeside. I mean, I grew up, you know, south of State Avenue from there, and to hear the races on Friday nights, you know, when we didn't go. And but one year we raced there, Marty Johnson and I, and we got to. It was wasn't an outlaw show, but it was everybody was there and stuff, and we actually won that one. I think Steve ran second, Wolfie ran third. So, you know, that was a pretty big deal. You know, until the next week when I got to go to Knoxville and beat Randy Smith. You know.
Oh yeah, you and Randy were really close friends, were you not?
Absolutely. We were, you know, for as hard as we raced, it was pretty kind of unbelievable that we could be such good friends, the family and everything. Our kids were the same age.
Yeah. Your boy, Snow, he's a pretty good boy. You raised a good one there. He's doing well.
He does good. You know, I'm pretty proud of him. You know, of course, you know, most people don't know he's my son because of that Snow nickname.
Right.
But, and then my oldest son, Justin, you know, he's really done sorry, I listened to John's interview, and, you know, your kids are the most proudest thing you can have. And, you know, my oldest son, Justin, you know, he's had a great business, and him and Brandon are starting to get a team together. And so pretty proud of that. And, you know, got JJ Hickle driving for him. So it's going to be fun to be able to be kind of associated with it, you know.
Yeah.
Hey,
JJ Hickle's quite the shoe.
Yeah.
We had him on the show this week, and it's great news to hear that the affiliation through your family and everything, that JJ Hickles gets a chance to run a 410 up there at Knoxville. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
That's exciting, and I know Brandon and Justin are very excited about having JJ. You know, thanks to you guys with your racing shows and in Flow and Dirt Vision, I get to see them down in Texas now.
You're right.
Knoxville was you did very well up at Knoxville. Just to talk about some of your memories racing at the famed Knoxville Raceway.
Well, you know, my very first time there, you know, it's funny because, you know, I talk to people and they remember me from around 81 through, you know, on from there. But Jerry Potter, you know, another fellow inductee,
yes, sir.
You know, he you know, I can go on and on about all the people that latched on, and, you know, the greats, the Ray Lee Goodwins, Greg Welds, you know, all of them that just helped me with, you know, just for some reason started talking to me and helping me with different things. But Jerry Potter told me one time, he says, "You want to be a racer, you got to go to Knoxville." So my dad and I, we traipsed up there first race we got, one race there was in '76, I believe it was, and it was all non-wing stuff. But those memories of, and that was back when they had 60 cars and they only took 40 to the heat races. And I tell everybody, I remember hot lapping, qualifying, and sitting and watching some of the best races in the country. You know, so I got to watch the best. Was it then later on? Bob Vielhauer, Larry Christie had talked Bob into letting me drive their car. So I kept telling him I wanted to go to Knoxville, and he kept saying, you know, when we win at Lakeside, we'll go. So we won on Friday night, and I said, we're going to Knoxville tomorrow. And so we started going up there with Vielhauer and with Bob in the Beaver cars. So and then it just snowballed from there. I mean, it just wouldn't have been possible without all the great people, the great car owners, you know, that help you. You can't do it by yourself.
And you still stay pretty close to follow what's going on, as you pointed out earlier. What do you think of the sprint car racing today compared to when you last drove?
It's remarkable. You know, the thing about the cars now is everybody can buy the same stuff.
Right.
You know, back in the day, you know, you had to try to, you know, figure out it on your own. I think, Scott, you mentioned something about John Sr., you know, finding things. And but they, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, secrets were kept back then, you know.
Right.
Now everybody sells them, you know. And so to watch these kids, you know, it's just remarkable. And that World of Outlaw race last night, it was, you know, not so much the leader part of it, but there for a while it was second, third, and fourth. You know, it's like, whoa, you know, they got no fear.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't. We just didn't realize it.
Yeah, right. Well,
and the seats, the seats. You know, I heard you talking about the seats. You know, they weren't very good back then.
Yeah, no doubt. Who was the greatest driver you ever raced against, in your eyes?
Raced against?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, there's three that come to mind right off the bat.
Yeah.
You beat two of them at Lakeside, at the old Lakeside one night. Steve Kinzer and Doug Wolfgang, right?
Yeah, Steve, Doug. You know, those are the greatest. You know, then it's hard to argue by era, but you know, you can throw a lot of them in there. But they were the best then. You know, I got to watch. You talk about old Lakeside. The reason why I wanted to go racing full time, I remember my buddy at the Mike Brewer. We would go out to Lakeside. It was a Weld Memorial, and I watched Jan Opperman walk into the pits with a helmet bag, and I told my buddy Mike, I said, "That's what I'm going to do someday."
Boy, he was a great driver. I don't think a lot of young people really. Those of us who are old enough to remember watching Jan Opperman race. What a talent he was. He did things in a race car I've never seen since.
I know it, you know, and sitting on the hill at Lakeside watching him back it in and looking back at everybody going forward. But some of the fondest memories I have is watching at the old Lakeside, Galen Schaefer, Joe Wallace, you know, all them guys racing, and the big black Camaro against the small black Camaro, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Those were the days. Before we let you go, TJ, I want to ask you, is there anybody out there that you need to thank, or some of the people that helped you along the way that you'd like to make sure that they get some credit for it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, first and foremost, my mom and dad, they sacrificed everything for racing, you know, lost them in 07 and 08. And I tell you, my dad, if he was alive today, this would be his proudest moment, because he was a Kansas City racer. He loved Kansas City racing, you know, and stuff. And then, of course, you know, Larry Christie and Bob Vielhauer and all the owners, Marty Johnson. I mean, he really put me on the map. And you know, I got to drive for some of the best there was. Laverne, Nance, Doug Howes. You know, I can go on and on about the people I was able to get to drive for, and just, you know, can't thank them enough. Junior Parkinson, you know, I mean, when I was a kid, he'd come up and, I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but, you know, every little bit helped. He had a Bell helmet deal. He would give me tearaways and visors and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
But, and Jerry Potter for pointing me in the right direction.
Yeah.
Now, Junior's going to be there tonight.
And two people that have been there from day one. That is my cousin Susie and her husband Dave. They, you know, they've probably been there the longest. But, yeah.
Are they going to be there tonight?
I know I'm forgetting people. Yes.
Cool.
I begged them to come.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a fun night. We look forward to seeing you out there and telling some good stories. Bring a good story or two, will you?
Yeah, do that. That'd be good.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. And then I do want to take a chance to congratulate everybody that got inducted in this class. And, you know, I hate not being able to get to talk to John Sr. or Thad Dozier, you know, one of my childhood heroes. But congratulations to everybody, and see you tonight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
John O'Neill Sr. rates as high up in the book as they come for me. He was just a good guy.
Oh yeah. You know,
yep.
It's unbelievable what they did.
Yep.
Well,
sure.
Congratulations, TJ. We'll look forward to seeing you out there tonight. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you take care.
All right, there he is, TJ Giddings, man.
Yep. And again, Kerry Davis, who we all love, and looking forward to that.
Let's try to get Kerry on next week on Mostly Motorsports.
We'll try to get Jerry Potter on next week, too. Hey, I remember Kerry Davis. You attended the banquet where he won the national championship in 2002. You got the tuxedos and everything. I remember that.
I haven't wore that tuxedo since, just so you know.
But we'll talk about Kerry Davis's career tonight. He's still racing, by the way, and winning championships.
We're going to get Kerry Davis on Mostly Motorsports this week.
Jerry Potter, well-deserved, and those who are not with us, Urban Schick, who has passed away since the announcement was made he was going to be inducted. And also we lost Thad Dozier last year, a legendary race car driver and the 1967 Knoxville Nationals champion. We'll honor him tonight. And, of course, Ken Schrader and Ken Simon, one of the great racing photographers
no doubt
that we've seen in this country.
Kirk, it's all going to be live on Racing Boys. What time is that going to get underway?
The program starts at 4 o'clock. This afternoon. So tune in. We're going to induct 4 members before dinner, have dinner, and then 5 more after dinner tonight. So it's going to be a fun time. The Elks Lodge in Blue Springs, Missouri.
All right.
It'll be a fun time.
So it'll be good. Sorry about that, Kelly. My bad, bud. I don't know why I automatically go to thinking that when you hear Kelly, it was
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
A man said, "I'm a man, not a woman," on there. I think I said something about that being a woman, didn't I?
I think you might have said she's checking in. Or
she's
something.
checking in.
Oh, okay.
And Kelly goes, you know, Kelly is a man's name too. And so.
It is. I know some men that are named Kelly.
I know some men too named Kelly. Sorry about that, bud. I am really sorry about that.
Just don't let that mistake happen again.
Just don't do it again. I won't make that mistake again.
Man, it's really strange outside.
It's just
it smells
gloomy.
It smells weird. It's like
nader season.
It's weird. It's just a strange.
So we got to worry about bad storms coming in before this big night tonight, or what's going to happen here?
About maybe some rain and stuff today. So
they're talking about some severe weather coming into Kansas City.
We can deal with the rain, but we don't want the bad stuff.
No.
Hey, Austin, we've been watching some of this drag racing. Tell everybody what it is over here.
So it is the NMRA Nationals at Bradenton Motorsports Park. I believe it's just kind of like your stock classes. What's up there now?
All I know is I see a lot of Mustangs.
Bunch of Mustangs.
Yeah.
A lot of Mustangs.
Well, we were watching
racing
during the break, and the one Ford Mustang looked like it was a newer, street model. Ran like a 13.5, so I think they're just like street class or a street series out there.
That's going to be Todd as soon as KCIR opens up.
Be all of us.
Todd with his new transmission.
That's all I need to go think.
You're going to rip that transmission out, bud. You're going to tear it up.
My wife will kill me.
Another $5,000.
Oh, you're going to go out there. I guarantee you will make a pass
Unless
at
somebody
KCIR.
makes me an awesome deal on that car before then.
Want to race for pinks?
What do you got? Your
Kia.
car? Your Kia? How far
I
we
got a
going?
2020 Kia.
Yeah, I'll take that.
We've had 2 NHRA national events so far this year.
We're going to get some more NHRA guys on, too, by the way. Joe Costello, we're going to try to get on.
Yeah.
John Force, we're going to reach out to. We're going to be talking a little more drag racing.
Speaking of-
We had a great segment with Mike Franks up at US 36, up at the drag strip one day, and we had a lot of people that were really tuned into that show because we were talking drag racing. So we're going to do a little bit more of that in the future.
Speaking of John Force Racing, Robert Height has been like a machine. The
Man,
first 2 events
crazy.
this year, he just rocked and rolled through. He beat Matt Hagan in the final at Phoenix last weekend. Also, Mike Salinas, the winner in Top Fuel, and Aaron Stanfield in Pro Stock last weekend down at Wild Horse Raceway Park, just south of Phoenix. The next event, they're off this weekend. The Gator Nationals, one of the big NHRA events next weekend down at Gainesville Raceway in Florida. So that'll be fun to watch that.
You ever been to the Don Garlett's Museum?
I've not.
Oh,
I'd
man.
love to go to
Special.
that. Next time in Florida. We're going to
so
Florida
good.
next year, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd love to check that out.
I might have to take Deidre with me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that you should.
I should. Yeah, for sure.
Put
Maybe we just take the motorhome down there.
Put in for the vacation right now.
Right. Okay.
You got
Let's
the
do it.
motorhome out of here.
Well, if we still have it, it might be sold.
Fuel prices might be like $8 a gallon by then.
Be cheaper in those motel rooms down there.
Yeah.
I guarantee that. So
Everything's going up.
yeah, for sure. Price of
Hang
fuel-
on to your wallet.
Hang on to your fuel wallet right now. That's for sure. All right. Well, folks, we want to appreciate it. Everybody tuning into the show today and our guest, John O'Neill Jr., TJ Giddings, and all the sound that we had from JJ Hickle, Steve King's sister, Danette, Derek Hagar, Bert Johnson, as well as Randy LaJoy. And again, Monday through Friday, mostly motorsports, starts at 12 noon Central Time. You can watch it right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. As soon as the show's over, we pull down the replay from those free entities, and we make you go over there and watch it on wherever you find your favorite podcast.
But
Right?
one thing we're not pulling down is the Carb Hall of Fame banquet tonight. We'll leave that up. We'll be streaming that live on the Race Boys Facebook page somewhere around 4 o'clock. We'll have that stream up there live, free of charge. If you can't make it out to the banquet tonight, tune in.
All right. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. And again, I want to thank Austin and Todd for their hard work behind the scenes here today. And for my partner, Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying we'll see you next week here on Track Talk. And we hope that you'll join us Monday through Friday on Mostly Motorsports. We'll see you then.